Hi, welcome to Roy's Game Table. Today we have Game 1 of the League of Champions tournament. So pull up a chair and let's see how this game goes. That's right, this is Game 1 of the League of Champions Tournament League over on Board Game Geek. This is Season 2 of the league, and basically there's going to be 7 games that everyone that participates in the league is going to play. And all 6 of the scenarios that are available currently are going to be featured with 1 repeat. And it just so happens that the Wrecking Crew is not only Game 1, but it's going to be the repeat. And we'll play the Expert game in Game 7. This is going to be on the Standard. And in the league, you have to choose a different hero for each game. So I've decided with this game, it is Standard Wrecking Crew. I think She-Hulk will be able to handle this. I have her in Justice. So I'm going to use her today, and so that I can save some other heroes for other scenarios. And I think she'll be able to do, I think she'll be able to win this. Now, as I said, once I use She-Hulk in this game, win or lose, I can't use her again. I have paired her with Justice, but I can use Justice again in a later game. But anyway, if you want to be more familiar with the league, you can go over to Board Game Geek and search for it. But that is what we're going to be doing. And just because it is a league match, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the decks like I do sometimes. And I've already given them all a shuffle, but I'll give them a quick shuffle. So it'll take me a minute because there's 5 decks that I got to go through. But I just shuffled Pile Driver. And now I'm shuffling Bulldozer. And now I'm going to take Thunderball. Okay, and then I will shuffle Wrecker, who is the leader. And the active marker will go on him, and I'll need to get an active marker, so I'll do that in a second. And then I'll shuffle her deck some. Okay, so we're ready to draw 6. Let me go get a marker for Wrecker, and then we'll get started. And so I got the marker. We're going to use the first player marker to denote who the active villain is, and it's going to be Wrecker, obviously, to start the game. And by the way, this is solo play. All the games have to be played by 1 hero. That should be obvious by the fact that I only have 1 hero out. So let's go ahead and draw her starting 6 cards. So here's her starting hand. Pretty decent hand. I like a lot of what I see. I'm going to keep Split Personality, Nick Fury, and Strength, and discard the other 3 cards, and then draw back up to replace those. All right, so that looks pretty good. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put Nick Fury into play using Strength and Genius. And when he comes into play, he will come in with 3 hit points. And I'm going to have him draw 3 cards. Okay. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and flip to She-Hulk and deal the 2 damage actually to Thunderball, because the 2 that I want out the fastest, in my opinion, are Thunderball and Bulldozer. Thunderball can stun, and if She-Hulk gets stunned, she has to, a lot of her damage comes from her identity, and so I don't want her to be stunned, and Bulldozer makes you discard cards, and so I think I'm going to look to try to get those 2 out first, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, when I flip, I'm going to do the 2 damage to Thunderball, dropping him from 13 to 11, and then I'm going to put in Superhuman Strength with Focused Rage and Daredevil. And I'm actually going to do the 5 damage to Wrecker because he's going to be the active villain and attacking, so I don't want to take any damage. And so even though I do have Nick Fury, I realize I could take it. I just want him to be stunned. So I'm going to drop him from 14 down to 9. Okay, and that will stun him. And that's going to remove Superhuman Strength from the game. And then I'm going to put Endurance in using Mockingbird, and that's going to heal her up to 18. And I know I just got rid of 2 good allies, but I want to stay with split personality, and hopefully that'll let me draw up some allies next time. And as you know, I just stunned Wrecker. I think I'm going to be okay. So that's going to be it already. And draw up to 4. Okay, start of the main villain phase. Put 1 threat on the main scheme. He's supposed to attack, but he's stunned, so he won't. Oh, by the way, Nick Fury, I was going to have him attack for 2. And he'll attack to drop Thunderball down from 11 to 9. Sorry about that. So then he's ready. And anyway, so Wrecker was supposed to attack, but he was stunned, so he couldn't. So he'll draw because he is the active villain. And it is Buddy System. Choose the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. Reveal the top card of his deck. Top 2 cards instead if he's the only villain in play. So that is going to be Pile Driver, and his card will be Distracting Taunts. Attached to Pile Driver, he gets +3. Okay, so that's going to put him up to 14. And players cannot attack other villains, and I can use 2 fist resources to discard him. Well, I have to target Pile Driver now, so if he wants to be the one to get beat up first and get punched in the face hard by She-Hulk, then he's more than welcome to do that. But Nick Fury will leave the game, and it is back to She-Hulk. And before I do anything, I think I'm going to go ahead and just attack for 3 on Pile Driver. So that's going to drop him down to 11. And of course, he does have Retaliate 1. So that's going to drop him from 18. That's going to drop her from 18 to 17. Okay, and then I'm going to play Split Personality with the 3 resources I have. And that's going to flip her to Jennifer Walters, and she'll get to draw back up to 6. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to flip back to She-Hulk because I flipped to Jennifer Walters with Split Personality. I can flip back in case anybody's watching that doesn't know. So I don't have to deal the 2 damage to Pile Driver because this is not an attack, but I will go ahead and do that, dropping him from 11 to 9 because he wants to stand in the way and take it from everybody. I'll let him do that. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and just use Concussive Blow using Power of Justice and Stealth Strike to hit him for 3. And that's going to actually confuse him and drop him down to 6. And that will drop her down from 17 to 16. And then I'm going to go ahead and Haymaker for the other 2 resources I have. Hit him for 3 more. That drops him down to 3. And because of the Retaliate damage, she will drop to 15. And that's all I can do, so I'll ready and draw up to 4. Okay, start of the main villain phase. Put 1 threat here. And by the way, I forgot to do this on the first time, but after you put threat, it's been a while since I played Wrecking Crew. After you put threat on the main scheme, you put 1 threat on each of the villain side scheme, and then whoever has the most threat on the side scheme, then the token moves to that villain. And so I was supposed to put 1 on each of them. So he was supposed to be at 7, but now he'll be at 8. So I'm just going to fix it right now. And then Thunderball was supposed to be at 6, but he's going to be at 7. And then Bulldozer is supposed to be at 5, but he's going to be at 6. Okay, and then Pile Driver was supposed to be at 4, but he's going to be at 5. So I've put 2 threat on each of the schemes to make up from last time and this time. But they're not going to scheme. Wrecker is going to continue to be the active villain. He will attack this time. And I'm not going to defend because she still has 15 hit points. I think he's going to be okay. He'll attack for 2. But if it's undefended attack, it gets +2. So he's going to attack for 4. +1 is 5. So that's going to drop her down to 10. And then he is still the active villain, so the card he draws will be Escaped Convict. So that's going to surge, and that convict's going to come in with 2 hit points, and it will surge into your dead meat. When revealed, deal 1 damage to the hero or ally with the fewest remaining hit points. If that character is defeated this way, place 3 threat on Wrecker's side scheme, but That's going to drop her down to 9, but that will not defeat her. So we're back to She-Hulk. Okay, and I think the first thing I have to do with She-Hulk is Pile Driver over there is at 3 hit points. I'm going to go ahead and attack him for 3 and knock him out of the game. He, like I said, he wanted to be the one to take all the damage, so I let him take all the damage, and now he is defeated and removed from the game. And then I'm going to go ahead and put Under Surveillance in on the main scheme just to be safe. And I'll do that with Focused Rage and Legal Practice. And then I'm going to have her flip to Jennifer Walters. And then ready and draw up to 6. Okay, so the start of the main phase, the main scheme will go up to 3. And then we'll have to place 1 threat on everybody's scheme. So he'll go up to 9. He'll go up to 8. And Bulldozer will go up to 7. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to actually object to the main scheme with her, so it'll only go up to 2. And so now Wrecker is still the active villain, so he'll scheme for 2, 3, and that is going to be enough to make it go to 10. And so when his goes off, it's 2 damage to each friendly character, so she'll drop from 9 to 7. And then we take off all but 3 threat from the scheme. Okay, and the active marker doesn't move yet, but it will next time. Now, the convict will scheme for 1, and it will go onto the main scheme, so it's going to bring it up to 3. Okay, and then because Wrecker is still the main villain, he'll draw, and it will be a corrupt prisoner. So it's a guard. And he'll come in with 3 health. And now I can't attack the villains until I get him out of the way. All right, back to Jennifer Walters. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do with her is heal her back from 7 up to 12. And then I'm going to flip. And when I do, I'm going to have the 2 damage take out this escaped convict that came out. So he's out of the game. Okay, and then I'm going to put in Agent Coulson using Lockjaw and Energy for 2 and 3. And when he comes into the game, I don't have any counterintelligence or any preparation cards because I usually put counterintelligence in my Justice deck, but counterintelligence only works on the main scheme. So he's not going to be able to bring anything out. He's in here to take a hit and to deal 2 thwart. And that's exactly what I'm going to have him do. I'm going to have him thwart for 2. And I'm actually going to have him remove the 2 from Bulldozer because Bulldozer's attacks game overkill, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to have, it's going to end up being Thunderball as the active villain. That's okay. So he'll thwart for 2, and then I'm also going to put in Superhuman Strength using the other 2 resources I have, and then I'll ready and draw up to 4. Okay, start of the main villain phase, 1 threat here, and then 1 threat on each one of the side schemes. So that's 4, that's going to go up to 9, and that is going to go up to 6. And the active villain will become Thunderball. And he is going to attack for 1, and I'll just have She-Hulk take this. He's going to attack for 1 and deal 1 damage to the defending character. So there is no defending character, so I guess that's going to be, that probably still is going to be She-Hulk. So it's going to be 1, 2 damage from Thunderball to him. So that'll drop her down from 12 to 10. And then the guard's going to attack for 2, and I'll just have her take it, dropping her down to 8. And then Thunderball's card is going to be Ball and Chain. So it's an attachment, and then after Thunderball attacks, place 1 threat on the main scheme. So I'll attach that to him, and we're going to want to be sure to take care of that. And by the way, Thunderball does have a force response. After Thunderball attacks you, deal 1 damage to each character you control. So Agent Coulson will take 1, and she will take an additional 1. Okay, so back to She-Hulk. I'm going to have her put in Quake here for 2. I'm going to use 1-2 Punch and Superhuman Law Division to do that. And when Quake comes in, she's going to deal 2 to this corrupt prison guard. That's going to drop her down to 1. And then I'll have Agent Coulson deal 1. So it's going to knock him out of the game, but that's the 3rd damage I need to get rid of this guard. All right. And then I have She-Hulk attack Thunderball for 5. And so that's going to drop him down to 4. And it will stun him. And that will remove that from the game. And then I think I'll just go ahead and flip. And then ready and draw back up to 6. All right, starting the main villain phase. We put 1 threat on the main scheme. So now it's up to 5 out of 10. And then 1 threat onto Wrecker. This is going to go off. I'll do that in a second. And then 1 threat over here on Thunderball. So he's going to go up to 7. So when Thunderball's scheme goes off, we got to take off everything but 3. So let me do that real quick here. Let me make some changes. But when his side scheme goes off, we stun each friendly character, remove all but 3 threats. So Jennifer Walters is going to be stunned, and Quake is going to be stunned. And then my understanding is you do 1 sentence at a time. So we placed all the threat, and so that meant Thunderstruck went off. And then after you do that sentence, you go back, and also Thunderstruck goes down to 3. And then you go back and it says you move the active counter to the villain who has the most threats. So because Thunderstruck, the force response triggered in the first sentence of Breakout, so now Thunderball will not be the active villain. It'll actually be Bulldozer who is the active villain. So he's actually going to scheme. Let me move Pile Driver's cards out of the way so I don't get confused. But he's going to scheme for 1, 2. So he's going to scheme for a total of 2, and that's going to put it up to 9. And so it won't trigger yet, but it will trigger next time. So if I don't do something, I'm about to have to shuffle anyway, and if I don't do something, I'll have to discard the top 10 cards of my deck. But that's how I understand it. So he schemes for 2, and now we draw the card, the encounter card from his deck. So it's going to be Chaos in the Prison. When revealed, choose to either discard an upgrade you control or place 1 threat on the active villain's side scheme for each upgrade you control. If you're not controlling upgrades, this card gains Surge. Well, I could get rid of Endurance, but that would hurt, make her lose 3 health. And so I think I'm going to put 1 threat on the active villain's side scheme. So that's going to make it trigger. So I'm going to have to discard. I only have the 1 card. I'll have to discard that card. And from what I understand, that's all I do. I don't reshuffle and discard 9 more. Now, however, I do have to deal myself an encounter card that I have to deal with this phase because I'm still in the encounter card phase. But so I'll have to deal with that. But let me reshuffle my deck and then I'll deal with this encounter card. And his will drop back down to 3. Okay, so that deck's been reshuffled, and then the encounter card is going to be Bulldozer's Helmet. Force response after Bulldozer attacks you, discard 1 card from the top of your deck for each point of damage dealt by this attack. So that's going to go on to him. And so now we are back to Jennifer Walters. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and heal her for 5, back up from 7 to 12. And then I'm going to go ahead and have her flip. Now she is stunned, but her 2 damage from her ability, of course, is not an attack. So I can deal that 2 damage. I'm going to deal it over here to Thunderball to drop him to 2. Then I'm going to put Jessica Jones into play using Ground Stop, Haymaker, and Heroic Intuition for those 3. And she'll come in with 3 hit points. And I'm going to go ahead and have her attack for 2. To just knock Thunderball out of the game. I figured go ahead and do it while I can, even though he was stunned. So he's gone. Him and his side scheme. And that'll do it. So I'll ready and draw up to 4. Okay, start of the main villain phase. This is going to go up to 6. And then Wreckers will go up to 6 as well. And then Bulldozers will go up to 4. And so that will make Wrecker the active villain again. He's going to attack for 2, but I'm just going to go ahead and have Quake jump in front of this. She's stunned anyway, can't do much anymore. So he's going to attack for 2. And the boost, Wrecker gets +3 attack for this activation unless you place 2 threat on his side scheme. Okay, so I'll just let the +3 attack happen. So he's going to attack for 5. and for a total of 5 to knock Quake out of the game. Okay, and then his encounter card will be Chaos in the Prison. Choose to either discard and upgrade you control or place 1 threat on the active villain side scheme. For each upgrade you control. If you do not control any upgrades, that's the one we just had with Bulldozer. I've only got 1 upgrade. I'm not going to discard it. So I'll put 1 threat on Wrecker's side scheme. It's at 7. And so now we're back to She-Hulk. Alright, I think the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and attack and knock the stun off here so that I can get rid of that. And then I'm going to split personality using the 3 resources I have here. And that's going to let her flip to Jennifer Walters and draw up to 6. Okay, and then I'll have her flip back. And when she flips, I'm going to deal the 2 damage to Bulldozer, dropping him to 10. Then I think I'll just go ahead and concussive blow Bulldozer with Genius and 1-2 punch so I can have a physical resource, because mainly I just want to deal damage. It's going to confuse him and deal 3 damage, dropping him down to 7. Alright, and then I'll just go ahead and ground stomp for 2, deal 1 damage to each enemy. So I can deal 1 to Bulldozer and 1 to Wrecker. So Wrecker's now at 8, Bulldozer's at 6. And I'm going to have Jessica Jones thwart off the main scheme, so I'm getting a little nervous here. In fact, if it wasn't for under surveillance, I would lose because it's at 6. There's 2 side schemes in play, so she gets 3 threat, or 3 thwart. So I'll just move 3 threat from the main scheme. And that'll do it already. And draw up to 4. Okay, so 1 threat on the main scheme, and then 1 threat on each of the villain's side schemes. So his will go to 8. And Bulldozer will go up to 5. So Wrecker will continue to be the main villain. Jessica Jones is going to take the attack from him. It's an attack of 2. And then Wrecker gets +3 attack unless you put 2 threat on the side scheme. I'm not going to do that. So it's going to be an attack of 5 to knock Jessica Jones out of the game. Okay, and then the encounter card from his deck is Crowbar Toss. And it's in hero form. Wrecker attacks you, then move the active villain counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. So she should be able to survive this. So I'll just have her attack. I'll have her take it. It's going to be attack of 4. Move the active counter to the villain with the least threat on his side scheme. That villain schemes. Okay, well, so she takes 4 damage from Wrecker. That's going to drop down to 8. And then the boost is going to move the token over to Bulldozer, and he's going to scheme. It's going to let him scheme. So he schemes for 1, 2, 3. So that's going to put another 3 on there. So that brings it up to 8. So that's done with that. And then let's see what the rest of it was. Then move the active villain counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat, and that is Bulldozer. So that's going to end the turn. Okay, so back to She-Hulk. I'm going to have her attack Bulldozer for 3. That's going to drop him down to 3. And then I'm going to do Stealth Strike with my 3 resources I have. That's going to deal 4 damage to Bulldozer. It's going to knock him out of the game. So he's done. And so let me remove everything over here and get him out of the way. And when, so now Wrecker will become obviously the main villain. But whenever I defeat an enemy with that, I can remove 2 threat from a scheme. I'm going to remove it from this side scheme over here, so it drops it back to 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip to Jennifer Walters and ready and draw up to 6. Okay, so start of the main villain phase, I'm going to object to the main scheme. So, so we'll put 1 threat on Day of Reckoning. It brings it up to 7. He's going to scheme for 2, 3. And that's going to be enough to trigger it. And so deal 2 damage to each friendly character. That's going to drop her from 8 to 6. Okay, and then that's going to drop this scheme down to 3. He'll stay as the active villain, obviously. And then the encounter card's going to be Magic Crowbar attached to Wrecker. Let's see. After Wrecker attacks, place 1 threat on the side scheme with the least threat. So that would be his if he ever gets a chance to attack. But I think I'm going to be able to finish the game right here. So on her turn, I'm going to flip to She-Hulk and deal the 2 damage to him, drop him to 6. I'm going to attack for 3 to drop him down to 3. And then I'm going to use Concussive Blow using the Power of Justice and the other Concussive Blow to get that. It's going to confuse him, but it really doesn't matter because I just want to do the 3 damage to knock him out of the game. And so that's it. That is game 1 of the League of Champions tournament that's over on Board Game Geek, and I win and I stay in it. In fact, I think I'm going to have to win all 7 games to be able to stay in it because I think there's other people have done that. But I've got 1 under my belt. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. It's been a couple of months since I played the Wrecking Crew, and I tried to go slow, make sure I got everything right. I think I did. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider to like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell because I'm going to be putting out more Marvel Champions videos for this league. And until that happens, I'll save you a seat at the table.